Actually, the good thing with Kemi is she's known as a conviction politician. I think she is absolutely right not to get tied up, tangled up, I'd even say, into detail of policy. I mean, it's a really bad thing to end up doing at this stage. It will do her no favors. People were not voting Conservative because they thought we had all the wrong policies. People didn't vote Conservative because they thought we'd run out of, steam to run the country.
Yeah.
We just lost our direction. We've lost our compass. We fighting with ourselves, etc., etc. She should feel no pressure to come out with that list of policies, not least because people aren't ready for it. And they're not ready to listen either. I'm afraid actually you do have to fight on all fronts, because if you deal with, and I'm not sure whether that means just coming out with a bunch of reform-like policies, for example. You won't deal with reform by aping reform in the same way as you won't deal with Labour by aping Labour. I mean,
Mm.
it's just not. You've got to be yourselves. So when the general election was called, I mean, you might say it doesn't take a genius to know this, but the Prime Minister called me, the Foreign, the Home, the great officers of state, and basically to have a chat before he told the cabinet. And I rather hope the conversation was a sort of, I've had this wacky idea. What do you think? And we could have talked him out of it. And instead, it was I've just come back from seeing His Majesty the King. He's
Yeah.
graciously agreed to dissolve Parliament. And we went round the room, and everyone else was all Prime Minister. Fortune favours the brave. Great move. You've changed the weather. Etc. And I just got to me, and I said, look, I genuinely, and this is the thing about being in politics and public life long enough. I genuinely think I've seen this movie, and I'm afraid to tell you, it doesn't end well. But
No.
I could still be talking to you as defense secretary, and he would still be prime minister. We didn't need to call the election until next January. The way that Keir and Rachel Reeves were going on about the budget in advance of the budget, I know for a fact from talking to businesses that they were holding back on investment. It doesn't surprise me. And they essentially Labour own, I think, the slowdown in the third quarter, and we didn't need to have. So we could have, in other words, I think, had a rebounding economy, and a decent shot. Now, who knows what else would have happened? Who knows how the party, which was incredibly fractious, would have been behaving. You can at least try and make the weather when you're in power, and you almost never can make the weather in opposition.